You have like 1 million followers on TikTok, 1.7 on Instagram.
I did have very severe acne when I was 21, and it came out of absolutely nowhere. Started breaking out a little bit more. And I mean, I looked in the mirror one day and I was like, I can't even see my skin anymore. But a lot of people, they'll be like, you know, how do you not feel uncomfortable when you say things like, I'm so beautiful, I'm beautiful, I'm pretty, I'm this? And I'm like, because there's a difference between cockiness and confidence.
Oh,
when
yes.
If there's a will, there's a way for me.
Yeah.
Like I kid you not, I've always been like that. Very headstrong of like, if someone tells me no, it's almost like I'm like, I want to do it anyways. I'm going to make it work. Like I will literally, if I want to get something done, I will get it done. Mm-hmm. And like, I think that mentality, I look at it like it's just a part of me. But then I realize like not everybody thinks like that. And for me, there was even like a time period in my life where I'm like, I wish that I could just like take people and just be like, please, like I want you to do it. But again, it's the leading the horse to water. You cannot force them to drink.
Hi, my name is Prunella, and this is my Challenge Your Norm podcast. I'm absolutely obsessed with anything related to personal development. And well, to grow, we got to challenge our norm. And so on this podcast, we chat about life and how we can challenge our normal way of living it to make it greater than we could have ever imagined. Just one little belief, habit, bold move, and challenge at a time. Brit.
Hi.
I'm so happy you're here.
I am happy to be here.
We've just been doing a ton of TikToks in the
We
living
have just
room.
been doing so many TikToks, and literally you're like, do you want to do more? And I'm like, don't ask me that question. We'll be here all day. We'll be here all day trying to do TikToks
I am the same
together.
kind of person as you. I love TikToks.
Same.
Which you have like 1 million followers on TikTok, 1.7 on Instagram.
Yeah.
You also do YouTube. You're launching a fitness app. You do so many things. You do modeling. What got you here? Like,
honestly, my passion for just being my own boss. Like I've never really done well with the 9-to-5 mentality, which there's nothing wrong with, but I don't really like playing it safe when it comes to business, when it comes to working. I like to think outside the box, and I don't like putting myself into just one category. And that was like my biggest fear after high school was, how am I going to find a career that suits me if I want to do music, dance, modeling, photography, fitness, like all of these things? I was like, how can I put myself in a situation where I have the freedom to do whatever I want, I have the financial security, and I have the creative security of being able to create without having boundaries or limitations. I had to really think outside the box quite a few times.
And you did well.
Thank you.
Was there fear involved in that?
You know, there were so many, and still are, sleepless nights of thinking like, what's the next thing? But I really did a good job of sort of trusting the universe and the plan that was made out for me, and just being like, you know what? I feel protected. I am protected. Affirmations, just staying positive no matter what happened, and looking at it as a redirection and not rejection, or because I've heard no probably more than I've heard yes. But I've also said no more than I've said yes as well to a lot of things. And I think that that's a big, and I think I did an interview years ago where I said the same thing. Don't be afraid to say no, because for every no that you say, there's going to be that one yes that changes every single circumstance in your life.
What makes you know what the right yes and what the right no is?
Your gut, your body, your gut, your intuition, 100% will tell you. I think it's so important to be in touch and in tune with yourself. It's very easy to sort of get absorbed into society and what other people think that you should be doing, or the judgment of other people onto you. But I think those moments where you're in bed at night alone, you're on your morning walk, you're doing anything by yourself, that's an amazing time to sort of tune into your body and where you're at in your life and where you want to be, but your body will tell you if something is not right for you. There have been many times where there's been a moment of like, oh, I want to do that. And then I've gotten this gut feeling of just dread. And I'm like, that's weird. Where is that coming from? And instead of pushing it to the side, which I have done in multiple situations, and I will tell you that they were a redirection. But instead of pushing that aside, that's a moment where you can really have with yourself to tune into sort of what path you're supposed to be on, judging by your body. And I think for me, there's been so many times where my body has saved me from situations, circumstances, and things that weren't meant for me that maybe I saw the good in, because I love to see the positive in every situation. The good, the light, the happiness in people, the kind-heartedness. Even if it's just this much, I will focus on that. But there are times where my body's like, Brit, no, this isn't for you. So, you listen to it and you just trust. You trust in everything that people have a hard time, I think, explaining exists nowadays. And I think the trust in that, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, that's where you have to kind of put that trust in and understand that you're on the right path. You're okay.
That's incredible. I know so many people out there are so new to that journey and learning to listen to their bodies. For someone who's trying their best and unaware of what to listen to, what to, look for.
Yeah.
Do you have any things that they can start off by doing?
Giving yourself grace, forgiving yourself for everything that you're about to do and endeavor on and make mistakes with. Learn how to give yourself grace. That was a big thing. I think being hard on myself in a lot of cases, in a lot of instances, but giving others so much grace and wiggle room to make mistakes with forgiveness. Learn how to give that to yourself as a foundation for whatever journey you're about to go on. So that can be a journey that is safe. That can be a journey that's a little more risky. But no matter where you go into, you're able to give yourself the grace and understanding that not one person on this planet is perfect and everybody makes mistakes. But the sooner that you forgive yourself, the quicker and easier it will be to be put back on that path of understanding and just find your motivation and your why. And I think forgiveness and grace are the number one and two things that we should give to ourselves, because we tend to extend it to others so often, very easily, which I love. I think it should be extended to others. But you should also give it to yourself as well.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
You've built platforms where, we were talking about this before, you have Instagram where you share one side of yourself, and then you have TikTok where you share another side of you.
Yeah.
How were you able to navigate that, and what made you feel that this is the right path for this platform, this is the right path for this platform, the right path for that platform?
I think trial and error was a really big one for me. So being able to test different ways of doing things and seeing sort of what sticks. Everything that I did kind of test and do, I did find the love in. So I wasn't doing it for anybody else. I was really focused on what brought me joy. And that's a really beautiful thing when you're able to do that and it sticks. With TikTok, I always wanted to kind of show more of my personality on there, because I am a little goofy.
And you're hilarious. You're so funny. I feel like maybe many people who are watching this podcast maybe know you from Instagram.
Yeah.
And they gotta go check you out on TikTok, because you show your personality and you share your depth too.
Yeah.
Like the side that you're showing right now, speaking, it's so deep. You have so many layers to you. And I could feel that when I think I saw your Instagram first, and I could feel it in your captions. Yeah. But then going to your TikTok, it's like, wow, she's got like depth to her.
Yes.
And now you talking, it's obvious. Like you've done so much self-development work.
Yes, I have. And it's taken a lot of, like I said, it's taken a lot of lessons. It's taken a lot of bumps in the road, a lot of turbulence. By any means, am I perfect? No. Have I made mistakes? Absolutely I have. Am I afraid to make them? No. Because that's what makes me human. And every mistake I've made has been out of love, has been out of no ill intention. So I'm able to give myself that forgiveness and that grace, and being able to move forward with things and being able to extend that to other people. I think when I first got on Instagram, I had zero idea what I was doing, that it would take me to where I'm at now. I mean, I was a bartender for forever. And I started getting a following, and I was like, well, first of all, why are people following me? I'm so confused. I was sitting there and I was like, me? Like, okay, what do I do? Like, I was so lost, but I knew that there was, like, when I saw it, I knew there was something greater for me within that. But I never wanted to go about it in just a materialistic way. Like, I wanted to have I wanted to extend some type of inspiration or help or something that would be better for people. And I never wanted to just be looks and a body, even though I understand that is primarily what Instagram is. And when you post in a swimsuit, I get it. And that's what we're doing with the app. You know, I was like, I really want to put something out there so people can gain from this, like mentally, physically, emotionally, my captions, my wise words, just basically bring a community together where people can feel safe and not judged. Because that's one thing about me, I won't judge. Who am I to judge? That's big for me.
I feel like the people who've done the most self-love practices, learn to love themselves, those are also the ones that are able to not judge others, because we really judge other people based on our own projection. And
Correct.
So that shows a lot when people don't judge others, because they've learned to love themselves, and then they don't see it. They don't see the bad, because maybe we're flawed in different ways.
Yeah.
But so are other people, and we're no different. And that's beautiful.
Yeah, and we all come from different walks of life, different paths, different journeys. We've been through different traumas. We've had different things happen to us that nobody will either know or will find out, or you don't know when you first see somebody. You have no clue where they've come from, what they've done, what they've been through. And it's very easy to act off of emotion instantaneously. And if you can have the power to take that minute and realize, okay, I'm about to act impulsively off of emotion, let me just sit and just do 5 deep breaths. And it sounds so crazy. People will literally sit there and be like, of course it's easy to say. No, it's very hard to do in the moment. Trust me. I've had moments where I'm like forcing those breaths. But when you're able to breathe and name like 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for, it will literally rewire your brain to just be like, you know what? This person's just a human trying to get through the day too, you know? And it's like, there was an example I used with an Uber Eats driver. He had gotten lost, and he, you know, it was this whole thing. He left my food at another house, like just this whole entire thing. And for me, I'm like, you know, my friend was like, why don't you change the tip? And I'm like, I'm not going to change my tip. It's still going to be 20%. I'm not going to rate him 1 star. I can't do that just because I don't know if he's had a bad day, if he has kids that he's trying to feed. And at the end of the day, I had to walk 3 houses over. Okay. And like, there's so many bigger problems in the world than me having to walk 3 houses down to pick up my food that I ordered that he was so kind to deliver. And I think when you can see a situation like that, which again, in the moment, I get it. It's so hard to see that because you're so focused on the issue, which is this big. But if you can take that issue and see the bigger picture of like, listen, you have no idea. He might have been stuck in traffic. His kids might be sick and he's having to I don't know. You know what I mean? You're making up scenarios. But you're also making up scenarios on the opposite end that could be negative. Well, he doesn't care. He probably doesn't even want to do this job. So you can always switch that and do the opposite end. And I tend to be more on the opposite end of that negative mentality. And I love to see the good in people and show them the good in themselves if I'm able to do that. Be a mirror of positivity for them so they can see that.
Have you always done that, or is that something that's you've like had your lessons and then applied different practices?
I think I've always had the same morals and value code of being kind to people. I do think that there was a moment in time, especially with social media, where it was starting to almost kind of get to my head. And it was like more of a competitive thing where I based so much off of my numbers. And I was like, oh, I failed if I don't get this many likes or this many comments or this. I have to make sure every day I was checking. I have to make sure that this hits this and this hits this, or no brand will work with me, or no this. And it was like really brutal. For a time period. And then that was when I realized too, I'm like, I had to reevaluate a lot of people in my life. Like, why are people friends with me? Like, what is going on? Because when I need them, AKA I want to talk to somebody or I just want to be real, I mean, it was ghost town. But when I was invited to an event, or when I had something going on, or I popped off, or I had a viral video, it was, let's see each other, let's hang out, let's grab that coffee, I forgot. And I'm like, so there was a lot of things, I think, for me that, I would never change finding the good in people, but I would put a time on people in my life being able to prove that trustworthiness, that love, that like consistency, because it's very easy to be a certain way with somebody, but you don't know someone until they don't get what they want. Or when you're going through a little bit of turbulence in your life, who's around for you and who's, you know, backing into the shadows to come back out when you're shining your light again. And that was big for me, as I would always be around in the shadows and the lightness, but when I needed somebody, there wasn't many people that were there. And that's not even being complacent. I think growing up the way I did, I was very alone for majority of my life anyways. So I was able to kind of channel that independence. I don't want it to be hyper independence though, because that can turn into a whole nother ball game of things that I've had to dig into and understand that it's okay to ask for help, just as much as I extend it.
I can relate.
Oh, it's so easy to say, but it's so hard to actually do. Yeah. And I've spent my 30s, I say 30s as if I'm like 37, but I just turned 30 in January, but I've spent my 30s sort of not being afraid to ask for help or being afraid to ask for what I want or being able to just communicate with people. I think communication is so key to building a foundation with anybody or anything in your life. Like when you have that foundation of communication and understanding, comprehension, listening, all those things play a role in communication. And I learned that as well. There's a long time where I was just chat. And I would listen, but I would listen to respond. I wasn't listening to understand and comprehend and process. And so I think nowadays being able to have those amenities of communication, understanding, comprehension means so much more when people, because sometimes people will call you, they're like, I just want to vent. Okay. Yeah. Go for it. If I have if Brittany has the cup filled and Brittany has that space, by all means I will extend it. But also setting the boundaries if Brittany doesn't, because I'm not going to be able to show up for you if I can't show up for myself in that way. So there's a healthy balance of finding it within every aspect of your life, and that's the journey.
How do you fill your cup up? What's like your daily practices?
Ooh, so journaling is a big one for me.
Oh, I love journaling. I journal every day, and I've done it for 6 years. Every day, I don't miss.
Yes, good consistency. Even on the days that you just show up. Just being
even if it's like, this sucks.
Yeah, literally, like, I am here. Yeah. My brain is fried. Yeah. Good night. This one is done early. Goodbye. Yeah. I am grateful. I said it. Bye. But it's good to have consistency. I always say, I'm like, if you stay ready in your life, if you're always staying ready, then on the days where you don't feel like it, even just showing up because you're staying ready, you're there. Mm-hmm. You've done it. Mm-hmm. You've checked the box. And that's showing up for yourself. And that's giving yourself those things that maybe sometimes we look for in other people, parents, family, friends, partners, etc. Being able to give those things to yourself, that's what fills my cup. Looking at Brittany, what does Brittany want to do? Does Brittany want to go swing on the swing set at 30? Yeah, she probably does. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go, not in front of people, not in front of families, but I'm going to go do that. Yeah. Or if I want to go for a run, or if I want to paint in the park, if I want to take myself to a movie, and that's the cool part about, and it doesn't even have to be things that cost money or a lot of time. Like, you can do the simplest things of just going outside and singing. I love singing. Singing, finding new music, just anything that sets your soul on fire. And that's the beautiful part too, is finding those things. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are like, I don't know what I like to do. So take that time and find those things, because when you're able to find things that set your soul on fire, no matter what it is, even if you put it into just like being creative. Okay, there's so many outlets for being creative: painting, coloring, drawing, singing, dancing, any type of art. You can go and do that. But if you don't know what it is, that's where a lot of people, I think, they have to put on a show to kind of just get through their days, and they get home and they're like, I just want to sleep. I have no, there's nothing left for me. And that, to me, but again, my brain is just with the economy, with things like I don't blame certain people. They have to put food on the table. And then when they do get home, I hear a lot of that. Well, how am I supposed to go paint and go in the park when I have to work these many jobs and it's heartbreaking, honestly. Yeah. And then that gets into a whole nother ball game of things in the rabbit hole. But at the same time, I think just finding any type of moment, singing in the shower, something that you can incorporate into your routine on your drive to work, listening to your favorite podcast, taking just 20 minutes of your lunch break to grab a piece of paper and draw. I don't know, something. I say creative because I'm a creative person, but some people want to just read, getting a book, anything that can bring you to a common level-headed place within your body. And finding that's another cool thing. And it always changes. It's constantly changing, and you constantly have to relearn yourself, which is, I think, a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah.
I do this thing for anyone who's busy and don't have time for it.
Yeah.
I did it before I started traveling. Then I was traveling for 5 months, and now just after coming back, I applied the habit again. I had this massive gallon of water that takes like 2 minutes to fill up, and I'm impatient as a human.
Yeah.
So what I have as a habit, I had it before and now reapplied, is for the whole 2 minutes that the water is filling up in the morning and my coffee is like brewing or getting ready, is I think of as many things as I can to be grateful for. And it like sets my day up for
I like that.
gratitude. And even, you know, on mornings where it's like, I can't think of anything, my brain is dead, like I have nothing. It's like, if you stand there for 2 minutes while whatever it is that you have to do, because we all have our things that we have to do, like you were saying, driving to work, whatever. It's like, if you can just think of what could I be grateful for today? It just brings you into, I love that.
1,000%. Even if you repeat the same things you did yesterday.
Yeah.
Even if you're just on autopilot and you're like, well, I've said this yesterday, good. So are still grateful for them.
Still bring it.
It's just the practice of saying things, because we're so quick to say and think of negative things. Like if I ask somebody, and I actually did this with somebody, I was like, what are 3 things that you don't like about yourself? Just bing, bing, bing. I can give you 5. I can give you 10. Bing, 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 bing. Okay. What's 2 things that you love about yourself? And I'm like, I wish it was opposite. I wish that you could tell me 10 things, just fire them off that you love about yourself, and just 1 or 2 things that you want to work on. I wouldn't even say that you don't like about yourself, that you just want to work on, or that you are learning to love more about yourself.
What's the first step for someone that wants to, that's like, I hate 20 things about myself. How do I start?
Acceptance. So acceptance of the ones that you can't change. If that's something physical, if that's whatever, just acceptance and learning how to maneuver the negative thoughts into something that you're more grateful for. And it sounds so cliche. You hear this all the time, but let's just say someone doesn't like their nose, and they're like, oh, I just don't like my nose. And that say they don't want to get a nose job or whatever the case is, they don't like it. I would look at that and be like, okay, at least I can breathe out of it. At least it's breathable. At least I'm able to breathe. I can smell. And again, there's a hummingbird. There is a hummingbird.
Oh my God. That was beautiful.
He literally looked me in my eye. What was that? That's very
What do you feel that meant? What message? You don't have to share if you don't want to.
I feel like that was somebody from my past, just coming up, and just being like, preach, keep going, and going away. I got goosebumps.
Okay, do you see this? My hairs were standing up.
That was. I wish they could have seen that.
Yeah,
that
it was beautiful.
Look, they probably are like, these girls are making this up. No, we're being serious. I should have had my phone over there. That was crazy. There's literally a window, and he was right there, and then just went away.
I saw it too, so it's no.
I'm glad that you saw that too, because I was like,
and it was there for a while.
Yeah, he was sitting there, and I was like, oh, cute. Oh, it's a dragonfly. No, it's not. It's a bird.
He literally
was
a hummingbird. Looking in, it felt like. That's what it felt like. Yeah.
I want to know. I want to look up the significance of what seeing a hummingbird is now. We'll do that after. Okay.
I always believe it's almost like an angel sign. It's like, I got you. It's like you're safe. Like you're on the right path. Kind of. Yeah. It's like. We're taken care of. You're taken care of. It was for you. I believe this.
You're like, it was for you. My back was turned.
Exactly.
I'm like, okay. Hi, Oma. No, I'm kidding.
You're on the right path. You're sharing the right words.
Yeah, that makes me happy. People. I know. I'm and that's literally, I think that brings me so much joy is helping people, or just being an inspiration and being somebody that people could look up to, or look forward to, in a sense of what I put out there, or what I'm trying to do to help people, because it can be sometimes overwhelming for me. I do have perfectionist tendencies of wanting it to be perfect, or not wanting to make that mistake, or not wanting to mess up. But I'm learning day by day that it's not necessarily a matter of doing it perfect. It's just a matter of getting it done. Just go and just full force, just put the car in drive, or put it in neutral on a hill and just let it just go down the hill a little bit. You don't even have to hit the gas pedal sometimes, but just move forward in what you want to do. And that's why with this app, I'm I'm doing this.
Let's talk about this. Yeah. So maybe first, what's your fitness journey look like? And now with this app, what is your hope? that it's going to help other people on their fitness journey with?
So I actually grew up in like the fitness world. Like my dad was super into it, my mom was super into it, and I was always like a school athlete growing up. I did, when I was 18 and 19, sort of not fall off from fitness, but sort of focus more on my full-time jobs and like really trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I was so confused when I was 18. I didn't go to college, I couldn't afford it, and I didn't get a scholarship. And I was just like, what am I going to do with my life? I was also very alone at that time. I had nobody, so I was like, so I think figuring that out and really like trying new things. Like I was a manager of a tanning salon for a while. I worked at Sonic. I was a waitress at Chili's. Welcome to Chili's. For years.
I've never been.
What?
Should I go? I'm not from America. Does
gosh.
that make it a little bit better?
Chili's. Listen, we could.
I gotta go to Chili's.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, you don't. Wait. I'll take you somewhere else. But no, Chili's is just like Applebee's.
Yes,
it's kind of like that vibe.
Okay.
Maybe a half step up.
Okay.
But Chili's is great, and it paid my bills for a very long time.
That's good.
I'm very grateful for the team there too. They were very welcoming and sweet. The people I worked with. So.
Good.
But yeah, I worked at Chili's for a very long time, and I did the to-go, the Q&A, which is like putting the food on the trays, hosting, being a hostess, and then being a bartender, and then being a waitress. So I basically did everything except, and I worked the dish pit twice.
Is this where you learned your work ethic? Because just from doing a few TikToks with you, I'm like, this girl's work ethic is incredible.
Thank you.
That's what people get wrong with social media. They think it's easy and have no clue how much goes into it. And the people who succeed in social media are typically the people who work the hardest as well.
Yes.
There is yes, you're beautiful and you share incredible things, but it's the work ethic and the smartness behind the work ethic, right? It's not always just about working hard, but it's also intentionally working with a certain direction and a plan in the back of your head. Yeah.
Yep. Thinking for the long term, like the longevity of it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I mean, the truth of the matter is, Instagram could go away tomorrow, and then it's like, who am I?
Yeah.
Like, I've always kind of had that mentality of like, I'm not better than anybody. I'm not worse than anybody. I'm just me on this app trying to figure it out. I focus more on longevity and like branding myself to where, because I started this when I was 22 years old and now I'm 30. So for 8 years, this was just everything that I was doing every single day, taking pictures, every single day posting on stories. And again, I think it's amazing because I love what I do. Like it's such a blessing. And I think working jobs that I had worked previous to being an influencer, waitressing, accounting, Sprint call center, and dealing with that type of scheduling, every time I find myself, even in the remote piece of complacency, I'm like, check yourself. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. There is so much gratitude. But again, it doesn't take away from the fact that there is a lot of dedication and hard work. But I think that stems across the whole board of people. Like every single person, no matter your status, stature, financial situation, emotional, etc., deals with issues that they think are issues for them. And I try my best, like I said, to just see that everybody's trying their best. For example, like, there's different levels to it. Like somebody might be struggling to put food on the table, and that's a problem. And then you might have somebody that's like, my Bentley's not at the store. And that's their problem. And, you could obviously look at that and dissect it very deeply and be like, are you kidding me right now? And like, trust me, I get that. Like I would look at the situation and be like, really? But that's their complacency. That's their issue that they're dealing with. And I'm sure it goes deeper in other issues as well. For being an influencer, I tend to try really hard to not, and trust me, there's so many moments where I'm like, I am dealing with this and I don't want to deal with this right now, but I'm going to take 5 deep breaths and be very grateful for where I am, because there are people that would give anything to be in my situation and where I'm at. So I always really try to move with gratitude in that. And I think being a longevity future thinker, I've always kind of had myself set up 5 steps ahead. I've also been extremely independent since I was 17 and on my own since I was 18. So it's like when you have no choice of like a plan B or a plan C, like you really have to like be on your stuff all the time. And it's nice now because I've learned the balance of cutting that off and being like, I can just be in nature. I can be with my friends. Like I don't have to be on my phone. We can just be having fun. And then when I'm in work mode, I am in work mode. Like that thinking cap comes on, decisions I make, things that I say, everything just gets put up, and I'm like, all right, let's do this. And that took so much practice because there was a time where I couldn't turn that off. Like I was in bed and I'm like, okay, 5 years from now, 4 years, where am I going to be in 10 years? And again, the practice of letting just everything play out the way it's going to play out, still having a plan, still being consistent, still finding things that you love to do. That's the journey. But anxiety, I think, stems from thinking in the future. And I think if you can pull that back just a little bit, like maybe just where you're at now and maybe for the week, plan your week. I plan my weeks. I'm like, I have a week, what am I going to do next week? But thinking 5 to 10 years and setting yourself up in a situation when you just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, especially nowadays. I mean, the things that I hear, I'm just like, wait, what? Where did that happen? What's going on? Oh, the price of gas, it's fluctuates, up, it's down, it's this, it's that. There's so many things that change that you just kind of have to find things that you're more rooted in that have longevity. And so for me with my career, I was like, I don't want to just be this or just be this on Instagram or just be this. I want to be fitness, bikini, lingerie, fashion, travel. Like how can I like align a plan and a goal that matches all of that? And the greater goal for me was just having financial freedom. I wanted to have security in my finances, to have the freedom to explore, to just finally feel what that feels like. Because I did not come from money. I didn't come from any of that. And that's okay. I look back at that and it makes me just 1,000 times more grateful for everything that I have and actually want to give it to situations and help and really put that money in situations and places where I can actually give back. And I think this app is the start of that for sure. It's going to take a lot of time, but we're really, really, we're working on it. So
people who join the app, they can get your training program, they can do self-development work, or what's going to be in there? So
I'm making this more of a mental, physical, emotional, because I don't think fitness it shouldn't just be physical.
I agree. I am all, the reason I work out, I'm known as a fitness girl, but my whole reasoning behind that is because I've had a lot of insecurities. And when I started to realize, wow, I can do something challenging, I can physically push myself more than I thought I could, that impacts my mindset. And when my mindset is impacted, my entire life changes. Right? So I'm with you on that. Yeah. That's amazing that you're doing that.
It's all a mindset. It really is. And I don't even want to say it's all a mindset as if it's easy. Oh, it's just a mindset. Just change your mind. Just think, when you're in the moment, me and you right now, we're very level-headed. We're sitting in a couch in a beautiful apartment with a view. Of course it's easy for us to sit here and say that. But when I leave and you leave and stuff starts getting real and people watching this are in these situations where their life is maybe turned upside down, I think the last thing they want to sit here and hear is like, oh yeah, let me just change my mindset. Of course, they know that. I think finding ways, techniques, community, any type of game plan to sort of help people, because I am really good at planning, like giving a game plan, giving strategies or methods or digging into that deeper level in your brain to where you can actually do the work. Because you know the saying, you can lead a horse to water, you can't force it to drink. I really want to be the person that leads the horses to the water, and I know that I'm able to do that. And so with this app, we're really trying to focus more on being able to lead the horse to water and give you all of the things that you could really imagine of needing to be able to do what you want to do. Because you can't fit everything in one box. Everybody learns different. It's like when you put 30 children in the classroom, I understand that you sometimes you have to do that, but every single kid in there, none of them are dumber or smarter. They just learn differently. They have different talents. They have different things that they're good at. And to teach them all one way, it's so tough. And so with this app, I don't want to just have one goal, because your goals might change too. you sign up, you get a plan, and then you're like, oh, well, I kind of want to do this now, or I kind of want to do that now. And I'm like, I don't want them to be sucked into one thing. And then they're like, oh, I changed my mind because I'm the queen of changing my mind. I'm like, I want to do this, or I want to wear this. Put the outfit on. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I'm like, stick to one thing. But it's fun. It's fun to be able to try new things. And I want to have people have the freedom to move around the app and be able to explore and get to learn themselves. That's like a big part of this app, is learning who you are on a deeper level, and not just physically, emotionally, mentally, like, but just a combination of all of them, and then applying it for your growth. I don't want people to learn who they are, think that's who they are, and then they're stuck. You're constantly changing, evolving, and growing. That's the most beautiful part about life, is you're not going to be the same person you were tomorrow, the next day, 5 years, 2 years. You're just not. But like loving yourself throughout the whole journey and accepting your mistakes, giving yourself the grace and forgiveness, and just being excited about the new lessons that you're going to learn, the new people you're going to meet, the new experiences you're going to have, good and bad. It's hard. Again, it's a lot easier to say now, and it's hard to do sometimes, but to really focus on those things will bring you so much further in life than if you just hone in on the negatives. Because negatives, they're easy. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. You can really just point out everything. Yeah. But yeah, there was actually this thing that I saw, and I'm going to try it with you. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
So, okay. Ready? Let me see how he did this. I'm copying this from somebody else's podcast, by the way. So I don't want to take credit for this. I can't remember his name, though. Okay. So look around the room. Okay.
Okay.
And tell me, or think, everything that is green.
Okay.
Okay. Now close your eyes. Now tell me one thing that is red.
I saw nothing red. I was looking for the green.
You were looking for the green.
Yeah.
So that's the point. So if you are looking for one thing, you're going to find it. But if you're not paying attention to something else, aka the good, you're not even going to think about the good. You're going to be focused on finding the one thing that you're looking for. So if you can change that one thing that you're looking for, let's say the red was good, even though red is normally bad and green is good, but let's say the red is good. You're so focused on the green, because I'm telling you, focus on the green, and that's how you can talk to yourself. Instead, focus on the red, focus on the good. Focus on what the positives are versus just focusing on the negatives, because you're gonna find them. You're gonna find anything you want to look for, and whatever your focus is. But if you put that into a positive mindset, or just, it doesn't even have to be all positive, just things that you love, like when you're driving by, and this sounds so sentimental, and I feel like people would be like, why are you getting so crazy? But looking at the trees, like driving by and really looking at them and being like, wow, these are beautiful. Instead of looking at the traffic light like, oh, I'm stuck in traffic and I hate this.
And if you have 5 seconds, stop the car and hug it.
Yeah.
Hug the tree. It's so powerful.
I mean, I've definitely put my hand on it, and like there was the other day it's such good energy. It's so grounding, and like
especially if you're feeling low. Like
being in nature, 100%, walking, moving your body.
Yeah.
I kid you not, when I'm stagnant, because humans, we work the desk jobs, we sit down, we're in the car for a long time. Sitting down, there was a neurological study on the body done, because I'm obsessed with Huberman, where sitting down actually increases your anxiety. We're a species meant to move. We're meant to be moving and walking and running, and nowadays we're stuck in cubicles, in jobs that maybe we're on our feet too much. And it's like we're not able to have that connection to nature, to being outside, to being doing things that set our soul on fire. And again, I really, really empathize and sympathize with people who don't have that ability.
And I gotta say something. I don't know if you looked at my office, but I have a walking pad. So I'm the type of person that I need to move.
Yes.
While I was traveling, I didn't have that. So I would literally bring my computer to the gym.
And put it on the treadmill?
And put it on the treadmill.
I love that.
And when I have sometimes I would bring an iPad and walk on the stairs or do things on my phone. Like yes, obviously won't do the entire day, but I need to move my body. And it energizes us all. It energizes me. I can only speak for myself, but it's scientifically proven that when we move, we have more energy. So it's like, even if you are stuck in a cubicle, is there any way that you could, save up $10 every week And after 10 weeks, be able to afford that walking pad so that you can get some more steps in and feel that energy flow through you.
Or even just take 5 to 10 minutes out of every hour and just literally go outside and just walk really quick back and forth.
Yeah.
Like anything. I mean, just
instead of looking and scrolling on your phone, that's
the scrolling
it needs to be a rule.
I have a timer on Instagram.
Oh, good.
I have a time limit. I can't. I literally will go on. I only follow like 60 people. I can't. I love the people I follow. I like all their stuff, and then I'm out. I'm off. Like, because the more that I go on there, it is catered to literally your brain. Like, you are just scrolling. And then, you know, you start seeing things. And if you're in a down and out place, the last thing you want to see is what everybody's posting on social media, which is only the good, only the best thing. Like, oh, I'm on a cruise and I'm doing this. I'm on a photo shoot. I'm doing this. I'm on a movie. I'm this. I'm doing this. I'm traveling to here. And I'm like, personally, I always find happiness for other people's successes, but that's not how everybody operates. And it could make you feel a lot more down on yourself. So it's like, those are the moments where instead of being on our phones, go outside and just be. Like, just disconnect from everything if you can. And I always add the if you can, because it's like, some people are sitting there and they're like, Brit, like, I literally can't. I do think that maybe you could think outside the box in some ways.
I literally today, on this day, made a podcast episode from I can't to I can't.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
There's always going to be excuses. And excuses are so valid.
I agree.
They are always going to be valid.
Yes.
But is there something we can do?
Yes.
Is there something that could make a slight change? Or is there a shift in your mindset?
Yes.
Is there something that could...
Yeah. And I'm a very, if there's a will, there's a way for me.
Yeah.
Like, I kid you not, I've always been like that. Very headstrong of like, if someone tells me no, it's almost like I'm like, I want to do it anyways. I'm going to make it work. Like, I will literally, if I want to get something done, I will get it done. And like, I think that mentality, I look at it like it's just a part of me. But then I realize, like, not everybody thinks like that. And for me, there was even like a time period in my life where I'm like, I wish that I could just like take people and just be like, please, like, I want you to do it. But again, it's the leading the horse to water. You cannot force them to drink. Yeah. But the more people that I can lead to the water, the more horses I can lead to the water, the more that I can try and just like show people, like, you've got it in you. I promise you do. I know that it might not feel like it. I know that it might be a rough patch, you're hitting turbulence, but actually, let me rephrase that, because I say turbulence has never made a plane crash, but I think there was one incident that somebody called me out on.
Oh, no.
99.999% of the time, turbulence has never made a plane crash.
I heard that too. I thought that was
I was
true.
like, I can't even say the saying anymore now.
Oh, no, I love that saying. That's like one of my favorites. Damn.
Well, a little bit of rough air has never made a plane crash, but it might make you scared. It might make you put your seatbelt on and be like, I don't know about this. Like, I got the fear and the anxiety, but knowing that like the plane is going to go through it and you're going to be okay, that's the biggest thing. But yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. I love you had said, like, before we started recording, you were like, everyone's always like, why does it have to be so deep? And I was like, oh, we go deep. And you go deep. Yeah. I love that. That's what
I told you, I'm like, if I'm going to be on here, we're going to be talking about the most deepest stuff. There was a funny TikTok I saw the other day. It was like, what's your favorite color? Pink. Oh, mine too. And it's like, so how's your life been traumatic? And it's like me in the first 10 minutes of meeting somebody. I'm like, but I think vulnerability is the basis of human connection.
100%.
And it's like, it's so scary to be vulnerable nowadays because we're scared of the judgment and we're scared of the criticism. We're scared of saying the wrong thing. That's a big one.
You were talking about that. Like, everything you put out can be
possibly misconstrued and it's scary. Like, I'm just like, I know my intentions. I know who I am as a person, but for people on the internet, for people, they don't know. People don't know. And so when you make a mistake or you say something, there's not a lot of grace that's extended or understanding or even teaching. Like, that's a great learning opportunity. Think when you have kids and your kid does something out of line, that's a learning opportunity. They're not, you can teach them. But instead you shut them down and you're just like, And I understand the difference between a child and a grown adult, but we're forever learning human beings. Yeah. Like, we really are. And forgiveness is not just even for the other person, it's also for yourself. It's really finding that deep-rooted love that you're extending that you should have a plethora of, because we're all born out of it, to just give and extend that grace, that love, and that understanding. And I hate seeing people walk in fear or tiptoe around when they have their opinions, or they can't have discussions because there's so much emotional turmoil that's, coming from somebody else's experience. Most of the time when we talk about things, if we don't agree, it's based off of somebody else's experience. I want to hear your experience with it. I'm open. I love listening. I love understanding and comprehending, and then processing. That's how we learn and grow as individuals too, is having that open mindset to really everything and anything. And then you can form your opinions. That's totally fine. Like you're able to do and think however you want. That's on you. Mm-hmm. But for me, I love having just the ability to communicate with others and hear their opinions, their perspectives, their experiences, and understand and empathize in some cases. I don't have to agree. We can always agree to disagree or whatever. That's fine. But I think being able to have the room to make mistakes, but to understand that your heart and soul are in a good place and your morals and values are aligned. I wish that sometimes we'd have more of that. And it's getting a little bit more to the point where people are really walking on eggshells, or they're just going out and they're just saying, well, this is how it's going to be. I'm just going to be this, whatever. And they're being extreme with it. And I'm like,
yeah. Like, it's the boldest thing you can do is be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And what you were saying about, as long as you know you and you know that your intentions are good.
Yes.
If you open up, you just have to be aware that not everyone is going to understand you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But if you stand so grounded in who you are and what your intentions are, you'll also be better at handling whatever then comes back your way, right?
Yeah. And we're communal beings. Like, we need community. We need people to have different opinions and different perspectives about things. Like, that's how we grow as humans. Like, I love hearing differences. If everybody was just agreeing with every single thing about me, like if it was just literally a copy and paste, I'm like, where's the fun in that? Where's the learning in that? Where's the growth in that? Yeah. So I think a lot of the times, like, I appreciate people with different perspectives and different opinions, because it allows me an opportunity to learn. And there's a level of taking what resonates with you and leaving what doesn't. And I think a lot of the time people want to absorb everything, and you don't have to absorb everything. You can absorb what resonates with you and leave what doesn't. Mm-hmm. And they say that in yoga a lot, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Mm-hmm. And when I started yoga's done a lot for me physically, mentally.
See, I didn't know you do yoga.
Oh, I love it.
We talk about how you dance too, which is amazing, because I'm a dancer. Yeah, you dance ballroom. Like you're good at it.
I would say I'm like a beginner intermediate.
Okay.
But I have my showcase in January that I signed up for. So I'm like, well, here it is.
That's amazing. But that's just another, like, you were talking about how you love being creative. Mm-hmm. It's one of those ways another that probably makes you feel alive, makes you feel happy, joyful.
Yeah. It allows me to like push myself, and anything that I can do that I'm like starting from like a low ego place, like where I have to really kill that ego going into it, is one of the best feelings for me, because like there's so much growth in that. Like, I've stepped on toes 50 times in that class.
That's what people avoid. Mm-hmm. So that's a powerful message.
Yeah. And even if I get on that dance floor in January, no matter what happens, I know that I've put my everything into it, that I stepped out of my comfort zone, that I'm doing something that I love doing, that I think is so much fun to watch, and that I've always wanted to do. And for me, it's like I've built where I'm at now to be able to do these things that feed my soul, that also help me grow, that eventually will just kill my ego in so many ways. Like, I love killing my ego.
Is that intentional? Because you've so much success, and everyone that watches you, they look at you as if you're a god, which we're all goddesses, right? But so is that kind of a way for you to keep your ego in check and to stay grounded? Because you're so grounded as a human. Is that part of why you've been able to stay grounded? Yeah,
I think like when people look at me, like, I never want people to like worship me or think that I'm like this, oh my gosh, like I'm not, like I'm not, and I never want to be that. But I think a good way of sort of looking at myself that way is doing things that are very humbling. Like, I always want to move with humility and humbleness. I never want to move with this cocky attitude or this ego or comparison even. Like when I walk into a room, I think, I love myself. I will say that. Like I every time I look in the mirror, I give myself a few compliments. Even when I'm not feeling the best, even when I have a big pimple on my forehead, I'm like, oh, you're cute. You're still cute.
Which we should talk about.
Oh,
your skin.
Yeah, my skincare journey.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, they'll be like, how do you not feel uncomfortable when you say things like, I'm so beautiful. I'm beautiful. I'm pretty. I'm this. And I'm like, because there's a difference between cockiness and confidence.
Oh,
When I walk into a room, I'm confident. And the difference between that is when I walk into that room, my head is held high, my shoulders are back, and I'm not looking down on anybody. There's no comparison. I'm me, they're them. Yeah, like I'm me, they're them. Every single person in that room brings a different awesome attribute. Why is there a comparison? There is none. There might be someone who people are gravitating towards more or not or less. That's fine. I'm doing me. And if I want to hold conversation and give eye contact and respect to other people, that's awesome. I love that. But there's no comparison. Cockiness is going into the room saying, I'm better than them. I'm better than them. I'm prettier than her. I'm prettier than him. That's cockiness. Yeah. Confidence, you don't even have a comparison.
And low self-esteem.
Oh, yeah.
It's really low self-esteem, right?
Yeah.
Because only if you feel less than to your core, are you going to want that comparison, right?
Yeah. And it's like comparison is really just, it'll eat you alive if you're not able to realize that you're doing it. It's a very easy habit to fall into, especially with social media, especially with a lot of the modern day type of relationships where people are scared to put certain boundaries or limitations on social media. It's very easy for people to go and be like, he's liked her, she's liked him, etc. It's like, there's no comparison. Like, you have to remember that. There's discomfort, respect, and all of those things, absolutely valid, but there's no comparison to what she looks like or what he looks like or what they're doing. Like, just remember who you are and what you bring to the table and focus on that. And any type of energy that you put into any other person, take it back. Take back your energy. That's yours. That's precious. Put it into yourself, your growth, your just things that you love to do, figuring these things out. Like, you don't have to give that to all these other people. Like, if somebody cuts me off in traffic and, people who are mad about it for an hour and a half, I'm like, you've just given them way too much energy. And to me, time is one of the most expensive currencies. And I'm not just would you just give $100 away to somebody for 100 minutes? No. So why are you even giving them the time of day when that happens? Like, you have to look at your time and your energy as currency as well, because we're in a society where money is just triumphant to everything. And listen, I get it. I got bills to pay too. I got food to put on my table. But at the end of the day, your time and your energy are so much more precious for the soul. It really is. And the bills and the money, and trust me, I understand that. But when you're going to bed at night, or when when the day comes where your death is inevitable, you're not taking all these things with you financially. You're taking your soul, your those memories that everybody else is living with. Those are what matter. And it's so much easier said than done. I get it. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. I understand that. But at least people who are listening, at least they're hearing this from my mouth. You know what I mean? And what I'm saying. Because, again, lead the horse to water. You can't force him to drink. But it's so important to sort of see that your time and your energy is just as important, if not more, than your currency of money, of dollars. Like, if somebody gives me their time, we don't have to be doing anything super fancy expensive. Like, just being together and having someone give me their time, that means so much to me. So much more to me than someone taking me on a fancy dinner or buying me a really expensive gift. And it's always been that way for me. I've never, even when I was living not even paycheck to paycheck, I was trying to figure out what I was doing on my own at 18. I still respected people that gave me their time, and people who, if I went to lunch with a girlfriend and she's like, oh, I'll pay. I'm like, no. I'm like, it's okay. Like we'll split it or whatever. But the fact that you met me here and we hung out and we had great conversation and I have so much love for you, like, that means more to me. And it's always been that way. But again, the more success, the more people that have that access to you, or that you have that access to, you see really the behind the scenes of where people's priorities are in their soul. Yeah. And for me, I'm not changing that part about myself. Yeah. I never will.
I can tell. That's amazing. Talking about food, what's your favorite food? What do you eat? Because people look at your body and they're like, how?
Oh gosh. Okay, so my diet more so stems from how I'm like feeling. I also do a lot of cycle syncing with my diet. So for my period,
amazing.
I'm really, really big on a lot of anti-inflammatory foods. Just because the older that I get, the more that I've looked at my inflammatory, and I'm, pretty I'm inflammatory based, I guess. So I do like meat. I do like red meat. It does well with my body. I love fruits. I love vegetables. I love acai bowls, my absolute favorite. I love bars, like good, like wholesome, clean protein bars. But yeah, I think my favorite food would have to be like a steak, a red fillet.
Okay, so I've just gone on this like AIP diet thing. I don't know if you've tried it.
No.
Because I was so inflamed, so bloated, like
really
constipation, all these things.
Yeah.
On that diet, I've been eating so much red meat and I have fallen in love with it.
Do you know your blood type?
Good.
Are you O?
I forget.
I don't know my blood type either.
Oh, okay.
I took a hormone test. I'm so angry.
I have it somewhere.
They took 7 vials. And like, I'm just like saying,
that happens to me too. Do you freeze up? Because it's...
Yes, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I go, do you know my blood type? She goes, oh, we didn't run it for that. I said, that was the one question I was really interested in. I got my hormone test done, which is great, but I'm also just like, you couldn't just throw that in there. Like what blood type I am, I still have no idea.
Oh damn! I literally got blood work done yesterday. That's hilarious. Really? Yeah, I'm still waiting.
I'm like mortified of it, but I wanted to get the hormone test done just to make sure I was like, I'm in my 30s now. Like I'm like, I just want to make sure everything's like up to par and good. And I got amazing results. Good. So I was like, I'm actually low in testosterone.
Oh.
Yeah. I didn't know that. No. I didn't know. I thought I was going to be high in testosterone, high in cortisol, just because of the way I work out and how much energy I have. And she was like, do you hold on to more fat and are you more lethargic? And I'm like, no. And she was like, well, that's low test. And I'm like, do I have that? She goes, yes. And I was like, oh, okay. That's not, none of those symptoms match me. Like, she was like, you have your progesterone and estrogen are perfect, but you have very low testosterone.
Interesting.
I was like, how are my cortisol levels? Stress. But they're perfect.
Oh, that's good.
I was like, what?
That's good.
I mean, it blew my mind. I was like so nervous when she called me back and she was like, I was like, hi. I actually called her because she had called me on my phone. If I have an unknown number, it goes straight to voicemail.
Yeah.
And I just gotten out of a workout class and it was 5:30. They close at 6. And I was like, listen, I need her to call me back because I can't wait till tomorrow. I'm so scared. She was like, you're fine. I was like, see, this is the cortisol.
God. Thank God. Did you get this done here in LA or in
no, back in Florida.
Florida.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and she was so sweet about it too. And I was just, I mean, when I was getting the blood drawn, I was sitting there like, and I'm the kind of person I have to watch it get done.
Really?
Yes.
I cannot look. I faint. Like I faint with things like that.
I faint if I'm not looking. Like if I see it, I'm like, okay.
It's such a weird feel. Maybe that's the hack. I just never have looked. So
I always have to look. Like she even said, she's like, okay, close your eyes. I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I'm like sitting there and she's like, okay, well, it's just, she's like 3, 2, and she's like, and I'm like, okay. Because if I can expect that it's going to happen, then that's probably a control thing. That's probably a control thing. But if I can expect that it's going to happen, then I'm like, okay, like I can. Yeah, I'm prepared.
That makes sense if it's a control thing. Yeah,
right. Like at least I can prepare. That's like my number one thing is preparation of knowing like, okay, this is going to happen. Yeah, great. Okay, let me prepare for that. Like, I mean, it could be something crazy, and I'm like, all right, at least I know. Here we go into the shitstorm.
Thank God that they were good.
Yeah, no, she was amazing. Literally amazing. Except after like vial number 7, I was like, we're done, right? I was like, we're done, right? Yep. Okay, cool. And she's like, I also used the biggest needle on you, but I didn't want to tell you. I'm like, oh, great.
Why would you do that?
I'm like, awesome.
We need as much of a rod as possible.
Because she's like, it'll be quicker. And I'm like, oh, okay. Thanks for telling me now.
Ouch.
She's like, you have such great veins. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, that's painful.
Awesome. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of journeys that I'm kind of starting on. One of them is my skin as well. We talked about that a little bit. I did have very severe acne when I was 21, and it came out of absolutely nowhere. Started breaking out a little bit more, and I mean, I looked in the mirror one day and I was like, I can't even see my skin anymore. Like my skin isn't even under, like, where is it? It was just red and just everywhere. And then my forehead started and I was like, oh. And I tried everything under the sun. I mean, I went to estheticians. I mean, I didn't have like any money at the time. So I was spending every dime I possibly, because dermatologists and estheticians are expensive.
I bet.
And like, when you find something that works for you, it's worth the investment. But I didn't know. And I was
you just tried everything and paid.
And it was brutal. I tried every over-the-counter thing, the clean and clear and under control. It was not under control and it was not clean and clear. It was a nightmare. And I went to the esthetician. We did chemical peel, 3rd-degree burns, like camellia bump blisters all over here. I mean, it was like, I was sitting there looking in the mirror and I was like, I don't even recognize myself. Like my modeling agency at the time was like, listen. And I'm like, I know. You don't even have to say it. It was one of the most toughest things I've had to deal with mentally because I was so out of control with it. Like I was trying everything and there was no solution. Like I'm a very math-based person. I like to have an equation and I can work with any equation, but as long as there's a solution, I can do that. There was no equation to this. Like everything I tried was not giving me any type of result. If anything, it was almost making it worse. And then I finally gave up and they wanted to put me on Accutane. I refused just because I did research on it. I've never been on birth control either. And I don't really like altering things. Like I don't even take a Tylenol or an Advil when I have a headache. Like I really, really try to be as natural as possible with anything I put in my body. Mm-hmm. And so when they told me that, I was like, okay, well then that's fine. I'll live with this and I'll have to just get used to it. So I had used Obagi, which was a skincare line in Florida. And when I moved to LA, they have a Cleansiderm line. And so I went in just to get that line and at this dermatologist. And when I tell you the stars aligned, I mean, I walked in and I asked them for the line. And she goes like, listen, I really think that you should meet with the dermatologist. And I'm like, no, I looked at her, I was like, can I be honest with you? I can't afford this place. She was like, for free. And I'm like, And I was almost in tears at this point. I had like hit my breaking point with my skin. And I remember I went back and Dr. Kim sat me down and he touched my skin with his bare hands. Like he didn't wear gloves. Like every and I understand that might be more on the cleaner side, but to feel more human, like, cause everyone would be like make that face. And I'm like, it made me feel horrible about myself. Like I was like, I'm not nasty just because I had acne. Yeah. But he was the first person to just, with his bare hands, go in and tell me. And he was like, listen, he goes, I think I can help you. And I was like, I don't want to be on Accutane. He goes, you don't have to be on any of that. He goes, you need extractions. You need a good skincare line. He goes, what were you coming in here for? I was like, Obagi Cleanser. He goes, perfect, use that. He goes, come back and we need to get all of this out because all you're going to do is clean the surface and prevent new ones. But I had cystic tunnels all throughout my cheeks, everywhere. He was like, we got to get those out. You want to talk about painful? They don't numb you for extractions.
What do
they do? They stick little scalpel. Like, so she used a scalpel because it kind of goes like this. And they poke, which is probably why I have my scars still. They poke and they get everything out. And like for cystic, it's almost like, it almost makes a little slit in your skin because they're so deep. And granted, it was a little satisfying for me to watch everything come out, but my face was bruised. Like in the picture, it was like purple. Like those were bruises.
Oh, that's from after the, okay.
It was purple from the bruising because I was like, oh my gosh. But she got everything out.
Wow.
And within a matter of weeks of just going back in every time I would have extractions, not picking, I'm a picker, so just not picking my face and really just washing my face morning and night, leaving it alone. After a few weeks, it started really clearing up. And I remember thinking to myself, I didn't have to get on Accutane. I didn't have to go on these things. I didn't have to do that.
You trusted your gut again.
Because I felt sick. I was like, I don't want to do that. And the more research I did too, it was just, there was like, it could cause birth defects. And like, I would love to have children in the future. And I'm just like, I think of little things now that I'm like, is that going to affect? I mean, I've always thought about that even when I was younger too. But I'm like, oh, like, I don't want to get on it. Like, I just don't. Like, I just want to be as natural as I possibly can. And I remember looking back and being like, I'm so happy that I didn't do that. I'm so happy that I said no. Yeah. And I feel like I was almost rewarded with like, okay, you followed your heart and your truth and your gut, even if it was something as little as like my acne and whatnot. You're gonna get help now. Now you're gonna get helped. And so within a matter of weeks, I was able to see my skin clear up. And I started derma rolling, which is not the best. I think microneedling is way better with the pin. But I did a few sessions of the derma. I mean, you can do derma rolling at home, but I did it in office. And it was all right. I think the microneedling pin, like I said, because of the way it goes down, derma rolling is more like rolling. It can actually kind of do the opposite effect. So I wouldn't say that I recommend derma rolling. I'm starting microneedling when I get back home.
Okay.
And I'm so excited. I'm nervous, but I'm so excited. I have an amazing spa back home now and that I'm working with, and they're like, we're going to take care of your skin. We're going to get, now it was beating the acne, now it's getting the scars to deplete. So I'm really excited. I'm nervous because I told her too, I'm like, you know, when you've had skin like I've had, and then you've cleared it to the point where, yes, in certain lighting, you can totally see my acne scars, which is okay. But when you had skin like that, and now you have skin like this, there's such a fear of, will my skin go back to that if I start messing with it again? But I do want to, you know, cure my scars as well. So I'm like, again, no risk, no reward. Yeah. So I'm like, and I put a lot of trust in them. Like, they are so sweet, and her skin is beautiful. And she does it to herself. She's like, I'll just do it to myself right now while you watch the pin. And I'm like, in the PRP with the blood, and they put it in your, I'm like, sure. Okay, sign me up.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. So I'm really pumped on that. And that starts in, I think, a week and a half. I'm doing that, my first treatment. Amazing. With like 24-hour downtime. So I'm like nervous.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So are you going to be back in Miami for a while? I know you travel a lot. That's cool.
Yes. So I will be back in Miami for a little while. I think I'm actually doing something so crazy. I'm flying, you know, Kay.
Yeah.
I'm flying a plane with her.
She told me.
Yeah. I'm like, well, next week I'll be flying an aircraft.
That's exciting. Yeah.
So
how badass is that? Like,
it
that's
is
so cool that
insane.
she has her own plane.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw her on TikTok, and I was like, she's so cool. She's so sweet. I met with her and her father. They're amazing.
She really is.
She's an absolute angel.
Yeah.
And she was like, I hit her up because I was like, hey, like, I'm so scared to fly. Like, I'll do it, but it's always been a fear of mine. I mean, I didn't fly for 8 years one time because I could not get on the airplane. And I would sit there and I'd be drenched in sweat. It would just be a nightmare for me. And I finally just came to the conclusion that you can't fight fate. I'll leave it at that. So I'm like, I'm not going to not travel the world because you can't fight fate. But at the end of the day, I told her, I was like, I think it might be because I'm such an analytical person, it might actually help me to know how this thing works. Because it doesn't make sense to me how this big tin can is just right up in the air.
Right?
For miles.
It blows my mind.
It makes no sense to me. Aerodynamics, I don't understand it. I'm like, quantum physics, all this other stuff, maybe explain it to me. Aerodynamics, I don't understand. So I'm like, maybe if I sit down and I like fly the plane with her in a smaller setting, and I can really feel that turbulence and understand, like, it's, you know, it's the wind currents, it's the hot and the cold air, I've done a little bit of research, but I think it would help me to just kind of go with her and go up there. So we're doing a flight from Palm Beach to the Keys, and then from the Keys back to Palm Beach. So fun. I know. And she's like, I'll be in not LA, I'll be in Orlando, I think, or Miami, one of the two, in like a week. And I was like, girl, I'll be back home. She's like, are the stars aligning? I was like, yes. So that's going to be a blast. I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun. There's moments where I get nervous, but those are the growth periods for me. Because I can make an excuse and be like, you know what? Why do I want to risk this? I'm just going to chill. Yeah. But then there's another part of me that's like, how freaking cool would that be to be up in an airplane, co-piloting and looking down and seeing everything from just you and your friend in the, like, so don't give that up. Like, just do it, you know? So I'm like, here I go.
I love that. That's so exciting. Thank you so much for coming on here. I have one last question that I would like to ask you. But first, I'm sure everyone already follows you. But where can they find you? How can they connect with you? And also join your app? Tell them all the details.
Yes. So my Instagram is @Brit Manuela. My fitness page currently is, what is my fitness page? Well, we're switching the words of my fitness page, so I might not plug that in just yet.
We'll put a link.
Yeah, we'll put a link.
Put a link in the description.
And then I do have a page of writing called the Whispering Pages. that I've created, and that's a little book that I'm in the middle of writing now. So, but that does have an Instagram page.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, just beautiful motivational quotes that I found that are so inspiring that if you just read one a day, it almost just kind of sets the tone for your day. So I do have that Instagram as well. TikTok is at the Brit Manuela. I wanted at Brit Manuela, but somebody took the name, so I had to put the Brit Manuela, and I'm like, doesn't sit right with me, but that's fine. So the Brit Manuela on TikTok. Feels so weird to say. And then my YouTube is just Brit Manuela as well. And I need to get better on my YouTube, to be fair. I'm putting shorts on there, but
it's so much work. So I get it with everything you've got going on. Yeah.
But yeah, and then the app will be on my website as well, which is www.britmanuela.com.
Woo! I love that. I love it. Amazing. Everyone should connect with you if they aren't already. I'm sure they already are. But so this podcast is called Challenge Your Norm.
Yes.
And you've already challenged the listeners and myself included on so many levels today.
Yeah.
But if you had one actionable challenge that you want to challenge them to do to hopefully,
I love this.
Open up to something new.
Okay.
Or grow. Some sort of challenge that you have found in your life has been helpful.
I think I want to say this one. I'm going to give two. Because the one that I want to give, I want to make sure that people are in a safe environment to do this. So I don't want to put pressure on someone to feel like they have to do this. One challenge I have is to find someone that you can agree to disagree with and have a very mature, emotional conversation with them. And again, I say that in safety terms because some people cannot have that, and I don't want someone to go out there and get their heart broken. But try to find someone who is maybe emotionally mature enough to have a conversation with that you can agree to disagree on, and have just a good conversation and I challenge you to see their point of view from their perspective. That's a big one. And that's for your growth, not them. Because sometimes people will be like, well, I don't want them. That's for you. Trust me, it's for you to see that. You don't have to agree, but just see it from their perspective. Another one that I have, and I love this one, and I try to do this every single day, no matter where I'm at. Find one person and give them a compliment when you're out. Anything. Shoes, shirt, smile, energy. You look pretty, like anything. I promise you, I have goosebumps because I'm just thinking about this morning at the coffee shop. I gave this girl a compliment and she almost literally started crying, and I almost started crying, and I'm like, listen. But a compliment can go so far with somebody because you just don't know what they're going through. And there have been so many moments where I have received a compliment, and I kid you not, it has made my whole body just warm, and it made me feel so happy because I was going through so much turmoil in my head, and I got that compliment, and I was just like, wow, from like a stranger. So one compliment to somebody throughout your day, every day, if you can, just anything. I don't even find something, don't let it be fake, but just find something you like. And if you like it, say it. It's okay. Even if they come back with if they don't respond the way you want them to, that's okay. That's on them. You are giving how you feel to somebody. And that's the most important step towards vulnerability too. Because, opening yourself up like that. Oh my gosh, girl, I love your top. Where is it from? She could very easily look at me and be like, none of your business. Bye. Or be like, oh my gosh, thank you. It's from here, whatever. And that's how you connect with people, is that. And I think even just
so much joy.
Just one quick compliment. Yes.
I love
kindness. Kindness. It goes a really, really long way. And it's free to give someone a compliment. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't even cost you that much time. But it could really, really benefit somebody. So I would say just one compliment a day to somebody for 7 days. And honestly, see how you feel too. See how you feel after that. Because it actually makes me feel amazing to see other people put a smile on their face and be like, oh, wow, my shirt's cool, or oh, wow, my smile's nice, or my hair, it's such a beautiful feeling. It really is. And it becomes addicting. And then you're just, it's never ingenuine, but you just want to pass that, just that self-love around. So yeah, I would say that would be mine.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much
of course,
for being who you are
Thank
and
you.
empowering women
Thank you.
to show up authentically and believe in themselves and develop that self-love. I think it's massive what you're doing, and I'm so excited for your app too.
Thank you.
Dig even deeper with them.
I know.
So exciting.
Seminars and everything, being able to talk.
Goodness, I'll be there.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yes, you will.
Thank you. Thank you so much.